before, you just go through your day, and now the trash truck comes, and it's really exciting. Or you go to the zoo, and there's a giraffe. I think it's like winning the lottery. I mean, just having him has just been great.
So we got a call about a sibling group, and we decided that was not a good fit for us. But in that call, we discovered there was a newborn in the hospital. I knew that the best thing for a baby in the hospital is to be held. And so I got permission from DHR to go and hold the baby. And so for almost 2 weeks, every day I would go and hold baby Haiden. And then the nurses kept telling me all the things I needed to do when I took him home, all the things he had to have. And I kept saying, I don't know that he's coming home with me. I'm just here to hold him. I just know that he was here and he was alone. And then one morning, DHR called and said he's ready to come home now. Haiden came home that day with us, and 1,215 days later, he was forever a Speece and adopted.
Well, I'm Lincoln, and this is Melinda, and we have 4 children, and we live in Alabama, inside of Montgomery. We were fostering about 5 years, and then our little boy came, Haiden came.
I think we decided to foster. To me, it feels like small steps of wanting to be of use in the kingdom and wanting to be of use to people in need, and then looking at the fact that I stay home with the kids and homeschool. Little by little, we figured out more and more about it, and I think really felt called to it strongly by the Lord. And so we took the classes, and we were licensed through Agape of Central Alabama, which is a fantastic organization in Montgomery, very dear to us.
Then we were able to bring Haiden home from the hospital, and we were praying for him. My prayer for him was that he would be adopted by a Christian family, and I prayed that he would be adopted by an Agape family. And we have some verses we would pray for him, and then very soon I began to pray that we would be that family, that Christian family and the Agape family. And then a very long and hard and wonderful process began.
My family has been a foster family for about 5 years, and during that time period we've taken care of 10 children. Most of them have been babies. We've had some older kids, and a couple of areas can be hard. It's hard to take care of the kids themselves. Some of them have really deep needs and they need attention all the time. It's hard for us sometimes because we were used to being the 3 Speece kids, and now there's another child in our life. But overall, I've really enjoyed it. I love taking care of kids, and this has been a wonderful opportunity for me as well as my parents to do this thing that we love.
Well, the first thing I remember whenever we mentioned foster care was my dad told me that we were going to do this and there were going to be little babies around. And I was pretty little, and I'm always called the baby of the family. I still am, even though we have Haiden. And I thought that's great. No one will call me the baby because I'm like 8 years old. I'm really old.
So I play the guitar. So whenever I'd come home from my guitar lesson once a week, he would ask me to pull out my guitar, and then I'd pull it out and put it on. And he'd ask for the little pick, and then he'd take the pick and drop it into the guitar, and then say, oops, uh-oh. And then he'd take the next one and drop it in there, and then I'd have to take it off and shake it until the pick fell out on the ground. And he just thought that was hilarious.
So I was his personal clown. I always made him laugh every day. We have some awesome videos. And that was my main job. I like to make everything a contest, so I also made a contest about who held Haiden the most. Mom won.
So Haiden was in foster care for 1,215 days. That's over 3 years. And in that time, we worked with 8 different primary social workers through Agape and through DHR. And the verse that I put on the fridge and I really clung to was Exodus 14:14, which is, "The Lord will fight for you. You only have to be silent." Because it's just very complicated. The workers, I think, are working very hard. It felt for us like the Lord really protected us and gave us some amazing workers who were as conscientious as they could be, who were trying to do what was best for the kids, but that took a lot of time to do. And I think it's hard on the outside to understand, why could something take so long? How could someone be in your house for over 1,200 days? What's going on? But behind the scenes, they're trying to do everything right and appropriate because it's such a serious thing that they're doing. And for us, that was very dear, that even for so many days in care, that one, we felt like we were being protected, and two, that in the end, Haiden was in our home the whole time. And so for him, there weren't ups and downs.
The Lord gave me some specific psalms when Haiden came, and I remember very clearly bringing him home. He had to be escorted from the hospital with a security officer with a gun. You begin thinking about him and where he's been and what his future looks like. And the Lord gave me Psalm 126. I lift up my eyes to the hills, from where my help comes from. Our help is in the name of the Lord. And I began working through that psalm in prayer for him. Where would he go in his life? What things would he face? And whatever it was, I prayed that the Lord would help him, that the Lord would be his help. Whether it was he's too little to know what's going on, or whether it's losing his parents, or whether it's facing who knows what. You really worried about his future. And another verse the Lord gave me was from Psalm 68, that God is a father to the fatherless, and he puts the solitary in families. And I began really praying that for him. Lord, you've promised this. You are a father to the fatherless. He is fatherless. Now fulfill your vow. Be a heavenly father to him by salvation, and give him an earthly father. And he's solitary. Put him in a family.
During our TPR hearing, our termination of parental rights, the case had been with DHR for over 3 years. And so one thing that was really wonderful and miraculous about our worker is that all the things that are necessary for TPR, and there are a lot of them, and they're very important: contacting biological family, having the case reviewed. She had only been with our case for maybe 6 or 8 months, but she had gone back to the very beginning, and she had recontacted every person involved with the case from the beginning. She had reviewed all the ISP notes from meetings. She had done everything. So by the time we got to the TPR, she was able to speak about the case, even though she'd only had it for a short time. And at the end, the judge told her that it was the most prepared she had ever seen a worker be for a TPR. And our worker didn't have to do that because it had all been done before by the 2 workers who preceded her. But she knew that TPR is so serious, and any little thing can put it off. And so she said, even though it's been done before, I will do it all again. And she did. And so she was praised by the judge, and of course has our eternal praise.
Also wanted to say a word about Sam. When we finally got an adoption worker, we told him that we were working with Sam, and he said, "That's good. Sam is the best." And my experience is he understands the entire process, but every point and every question we had, he was great. And then on the day in the trial, he was just, it was wonderful. I was so glad and confident that we had Sam. Melinda's parents always say she's a surprise. Her siblings are considerably older, and so she had a great upbringing with that. But every once in a while, we'll catch a little bit of an insinuation that we're a little bit older than people would expect. There are many blessings for them. My parents were a little bit older, and so they're a little more mature, stable, strong marriage, financially stable, and just a lot more wisdom. And so I just think of Haiden as our surprise. It's the surprise the Lord sent, and it's just awesome. Whether you're like his older siblings, it's just great for them. And it's just great to have big brothers and sisters who can read to you and show you how to look at, videos on Facebook, and they just all this stuff that they wouldn't have. But for us, it's just been wonderful because the timing is the Lord's. This is the Lord's best, and we just say great. But it's wonderful. I mean, before you just go through your day, and now the trash truck comes, and it's really exciting. Or you go to the zoo, and there's a giraffe, and you wouldn't do these things, and it really awakens you. So I feel over and over that we are the best. We're the ones benefiting the most. I think it's like winning the lottery. I mean, just having him, it's just been great. You just love him so much, and just so thankful. It makes you want to exercise, and right. What do you think?
Funny.
The process is very hard. I think we've been through some hard things in life, but I can't think of anything that was more sustained. There's the day-to-day difficulty, and then there's this dread that what if the unthinkable happens? And yet the Lord really provided for us. And then the adoption day came. You just couldn't believe it. So the psalm that the Lord brought to me was Psalm 126, where he says, "When the Lord turned again the captivity of Zion, we were like them that dreamed, and our mouths were filled with laughter, and our tongues were singing. And they said among the heathen, the Lord has done great things for them." Which is saying it was surreal. You can't believe it, and yet it was just, our mouths were filled with laughter. We had the biggest party that I think we've ever had. The greatest blessing of Haiden coming to us is now what we give him, and it's not even the wonderful things he does for us, but it's that he now has an opportunity for salvation, because the Bible is just replete with promises that the promises of God are to you and to your children and your children's children. And now he's a covenant child, and we couldn't have help from ourselves. We couldn't have help from the angels. We couldn't have help from anybody. And yet God, in his heart of love, even though we had sinned and offended him, he was the one that had pity on us. And I think the glory of what he's done through his son is the suffering that it required, and the sacrifice that it required. And the payoff for us is our hope is that Haiden will be a dad and read the Bible to his kids and pray with his kids, and he'll be a granddad, and he'll be a great granddad. And our prayer is that he would find salvation, and that by doing that, there would be hundreds, if not thousands, of new people coming into the kingdom as a result of the adoption of our sweet little boy.